Good morning guys, how's it going? Welcome to the inside of my new daily, courtesy of Berry Mini in Chiswick and Tony Lewis. This is a brand new 2017 Mini Clubman SD. Now that effectively means it's got the 2 litre 4-cylinder diesel engine that I had in the 320D that I'd just given back. So we're looking at about 190 horsepower, but less weight. This one's just front wheel drive, and so far so good. Now the base price of these are about £20,000. This one, as optioned, wait for it, is £33,000, or a smidge over in fact. And yes, it's got lots of toys in here, but when you look around, it's missing things like panoramic roof, it hasn't got leather. There are other things you can tick worryingly on that option list. So this is going to be a good test, and I'm glad. You know, I love trying different things, and it's nice to be, even though inside it's fundamentally is a BMW product, it's also very different to drive. It's fun, you know, everything in here is a bit fun, it's got a bit of character in here compared to sort of, you know, the run-of-the-mill BMW feel. So looking forward to it. It's in, I think it's called Moonstone Grey, which to me is basically Nardo Grey. I looked at it and I was like, it's Audi's Nardo Grey, but I think they call it Moonstone Grey. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to putting some miles under its belt and, yeah, feeding back to you guys whether I think people should be able to justify over 30 grand for a Mini. But it is actually very spacious in here. The ride's extremely good. Now I'm off to a BMW media event. We're going down there to check out the brand new BMW 6 Series GT, or Gran Turismo, which has taken over the very ugly 5 Series GT. Now, I've only seen pictures of it so far. It looks better, it looks like an improvement over the 5, which could only be possible surely. Still not the biggest looker, at least on pictures, so I'm keen to see what it's all about, check out the space, etc. They've got a few more models down there. They've got a brand new one called the M140 Shadow Edition. Anyway, let's head on. We're almost there. I'm running a little bit late and I'm a bit tired today, as you can probably tell on camera, but it should be a good day. Cheers guys. Right then guys, first car I've decided to take out. Well, that's a lie actually. The problem with these press events is obviously everybody comes here to try 1 or 2 cars when there's a group test or a selection of cars like there is today. And obviously on this test the majority of journalists have come to try the 6 GT, and they actually have 4 6 GTs here, 1 for display and 3 to be used. So as you can imagine, there's what, 20 of us in there. Everyone goes for the 6 GT first, and I wasn't quick enough. So, let's shut that down. So I'm actually in another Mini. I'm having a Mini overdose today, and there's a fair amount more Minis that are available to try. But this is the Countryman E. So it's a hybrid, and as you can probably tell, I'm in full eco now, full electric mode, and yeah, I think it, you know, it seems like a normal Mini to me. It seems, you know, it doesn't seem any different. I've just driven it a few hundred yards, so I can't be sure, but it certainly feels in here every bit, you know, normal Countryman. Yeah, the inside's very, very similar. There's a few gauges in front of me here that are telling me different, as in, you know, there's a battery gauge down there. There's a sort of gauge showing me how much charge I'm using or how much charge I'm regenerating. And I feel that when I come off the accelerator, I'm regenerating. Like now I'm going down a hill and I can see it's charging quite rapidly. In fact, I'm losing speed down this fairly steep incline, a bit like if you've ever driven an i3. I mean, the i3 is really aggressive when you come off the accelerator. You actually can drive the i3 pretty much with one pedal, the accelerator, whereas in this one you could if you're very careful, but it's certainly not gonna slow down quick enough in most instances. So yeah, so far so good. Let's report back once I've had a few miles under its belt. Right, now a few miles into this drive, I'm actually really impressed. I didn't want to like this car because I don't particularly like the Countryman to start with. I think it's just too big a Mini. It's not a Mini. It's, you know, it's in a segment that Mini shouldn't be in, but obviously financially it makes sense for them to be in, and they've sold a load of them, and you know, they've proved me wrong in that sense. Now I have to say, this makes a very good argument for itself. It's you know, it's a proper off-roader. It's really big in here. Actually, the boot's not a bad size, so practicality wise is, you know, it seems really good. You seem to lose very little space considering it's a hybrid, but most importantly to me is it actually drives pretty well. The ride's a bit busy, but I've just taken it off-road a little bit and it's really impressive. But the hybrid setup, the running gear is really impressive. Now there's various modes that I can be in, and I'm not familiar enough with this car to sort of know which one to put it in, but from what I can tell, obviously we've got the 1.5 3-cylinder engine under the bonnet, and to me it's the same engine that's in the BMW i8, and when you put your foot down you get the same soundtrack, obviously, but in this one it's organic. I can't hear any noise being piped around the cabin, but it's exactly the same soundtrack as inside the BMW i8, and effectively it's a similar sort of setup. You know, it's the electric, well, it's a hybrid. It's the electric power mated to the 1.5 turbocharged 3-cylinder. As much as I'm a petrol head, I do love cars that go into full electric mode, you know, especially around towns and sleepy little villages like this. Now the combustion engines kick back in again, but that's probably because I'm in sport. You can override all of that and put it in electric only, and I've still got 80% of electric only range left, or 80% of battery power left. So I'm intrigued to see, you know, where that stays, because I know from all the BMW Group hybrids that I've tried, that range soon disappears, and I think this has got an all-electric range of about 25 miles. That's what they quote. So realistically, let's say 15 miles, because it's usually about 2/3 of what they say. So but yeah, it's instant. I can feel the torque fill, if you like, there. You know, the 1.5 turbocharged engine does a very good job on its own, but with that electric sort of aid, it's just always there. And the more you put your foot down, the more it revs, and then you see the boost coming in, or the e-boost they call it. There's a little gauge down here on the dashboard, and when that e-boost comes in, that's when it's basically utilising the electric power on top of the combustion engine, so you're getting full power there. Now let's just do a little launch. I wonder if it's got launch control. I doubt it, but let's just do a little launch. Let's see if it's got launch control. It doesn't have launch control, but let's let it go. So we've got all-wheel drive, 30, 40, 50 and 60. So that's pretty quick. I don't know what the quoted figures are, but I would say that that's not far off about 6.5 seconds, which, you know, a few years ago was hot hatch territory. So it's definitely not slow for such a big bus, because I can't imagine this is very light with all the hybrid technology. Right now I'm about 20 minutes into this drive. I feel like I know the car a lot more. The good news is my all-electric range is still at 75%, so I've been on this lovely flowing A road for the past 15 minutes or so, and as long as I come off the throttle on the down slopes, I can actually see that percentage go back up again. In mid, as Mini call it, which is comfort I guess in BMW, when you're in that, it's a combination of electric and combustion, or both. So it will use electric where it can, or if you push a bit harder, then the combustion fires up, and then if you push a bit harder, then it uses both. When you're in sport, default it's just the combustion engine, and then as you push through that again, the electric then helps the combustion engine, gives you both. And when you go into what Mini call green, it is electric by default, and it will be electric as long as it can be. So I'm electric now, I'm going along at the national speed limit, 60 miles an hour, and yeah, it's not having any issues at all. It's really likes being an all electric, no problem. I'm sure on the motorway and stuff it might struggle to stay in that, and obviously you won't get much of a range. But again, when you push through that, you put your foot down, then the combustion engine comes through. So you're never really going to be caught out. Now, there are some other E modes down here, but unfortunately, I don't know enough about them to sort of run through them and talk you through those modes. But I think the long and short of it is, with this car, it's probably the most impressive hybrid setup I've driven. And I think that's because, to me, if anything, it just feels like the electric motor seems to deal with the weight of this car much better than, say, the most recent car I've been in, which was the 740 LE, where the hybrid power didn't last very long at all. You know, you killed it very quickly, whereas in this it seems to do a very good job, and it seems to marry up to the small petrol engine very well. They seem to do a very good job together. So yeah, I'm impressed. For a hybrid, I'm very impressed. So don't look at one of these thinking, oh, it's a hybrid, you know, I'd rather have a Cooper S or even a diesel. This thing is as quick, if not quicker, than probably both of those equivalents. Yes, it might be a bit more expensive to purchase in the first place, but I'm sure to live with if you have the amenities to charge it. That's the catch-22 with these cars, is do you have somewhere that you can plug it in? You know, all very well your work being 15 mile route, if you can plug it in one end and you can plug it in when you get home, then brilliant. You know, you're just basically using electricity, and you've got that combustion engine there to get you out of trouble if you need it. But if you haven't got places to plug it in, that is the main problem with hybrids or electric cars these days. The infrastructure is getting better, but it's not perfect. So you can be caught out with no charge, or but like I said, you've got the combustion engine in this to get you out of trouble. So yeah, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by this car. I really am. I don't like the seating position in it. I can't get particularly comfortable. It's not as comfortable as the Clubman that I came up here in. I feel like I'm sitting a little bit higher. The steering, the driving position, I can't get very right. I just don't feel that comfortable in it. And the seats, I think they look the same, but I don't know if I'm imagining it. They must be the same. They just don't feel quite as comfortable. But anyway, so hopefully you've enjoyed this mini review of the Mini Clubman E, all for hybrid-y thingy. Couple of little niggles that I have discovered in the last 10 minutes of the drive. Now, it doesn't have a rev counter, which I did discover immediately, but it has actually got my nerves a little bit, because I think all cars need rev counters. It's got a combustion engine. They could have put a rev counter on here somewhere, surely. And also something else that I think is much more relevant, and probably a issue in all Minis, I'm guessing. Now, this has got the full nav. I think it's, what would they call it? They wouldn't call it the Pro Nav, because that's a BMW. It's called Navigation System XL. Oh, Mini. So it's got Navigation System XL, which is great. You know, a very good navigation system, which is the same one that's in the Clubman long-term loaner that I've just picked up. And it's clear and whatever else. It's very similar to a BMW one, but firstly, you're looking down a bit further than you are on the BMs. You know, on the BMs and majority of cars, the navs are sort of a bit higher, a bit sort of almost bonnet line, whereas this one's further down. Now, my Clubman's got the head-up display, so I can see the navigation instruments in that, but This one doesn't, so you'd think that, like most BMWs that don't have head-up displays, they have like some kind of arrow system or something on the dashboard itself, so you can kind of look down and see it, but there's nothing, and I can't find it in any of these little sub-menus, and there's only a tiny little digital display anyway, so even if there was something on there, it would be really small. So what I'm saying is, every time I want to check the nav, unless I have the annoying person speaking on it, which I always mute, I have to sort of glance right down into the left there like that, which is not the safest thing in the world. And in this day and age, with head-up displays being around for, well, it must be at least 10 years probably now, I think, yeah, that needs to be rectified in all cars. If it's not, at least if there's nothing displayed in my binnacles in front of me, there should be a head-up display. Something that Mini could fix, potentially, with the new models. Hey guys, welcome to the Mini Cooper S 210 works. Yeah, listen to that. So I kind of want to see what this one's like. If I thought, yeah, this one also suffers from understeer. I'll take third in here, whereas I was the second in the Mini. Yeah, lovely. It's nice and dry there, actually. It's a completely different experience for the Mini. It really is. It's quieter in here. I feel like I'm going slower, but I know that I'm going faster.